So, welcome everyone. I think
Welcome.
uh, we are enough people. Let's start. So, let us read from, maybe this page 75. We'll just have an overlap with the lines that we have already covered. So, maybe a larger overlap. Starting from, he could reread now and interpret new. So, anyone who feels ready, please go ahead.
He could reread now and interpret new. Its strange symbol letters, scattered obtrusive signs, resolve its oracle and its paradox, its riddling phrases and its blindfold terms, the deep oxymoron of its truth repliques, and recognize as a just necessity its hard conditions for the mighty work, nature's impossible Herculean toil, only her warlock wisecraft could enforce. Its law of the opposition of the gods, its list of inseparable contraries.
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yes, Shataji.
The dumb great mother in her cosmic trance, exploiting for creation's joy and pain, infinity's sanction to the birth of form, accepts indomitably to execute the will to know in an inconscient world, the will to live under a reign of death, the thirsty for rapture in a heart of flesh, and works out through the appearance of a soul. By a miraculous birth in plasm and gas, the mystery of God's convenient with the night.
Once more was heard in the still cosmic mind the Eternal's promise to his laboring force, inducing the world passion to begin, the cry of birth into mortality, and the opening verse of the tragedy of time.
Jashriji, maybe you can take up the purple one also.
Yeah. Out of the depths, the world's buried secret rose. He read the original ukase kept back in the locked archives of the spirit script and saw the signature and fairy seal of wisdom on the dim power's hooded work, who builds in ignorance the steps of light.
A sleeping deity opened deathless eyes. He saw the unshaped thoughts in soulless forms, new matter pregnant with spiritual sense, mind dare the study of the unknowable, life its gestation of the golden child.
In the light, flood, in the light flooding thought's blank vacancy, interpreting the universe by soul signs, he read from within the text of the without. The riddle grew plain and lost its catch obscure.
Yeah, thank you so much, everyone. So here is where we stopped last. Ashwapati's revelations, and I feel that this is Sri Aurobindo and Mother paved a path for us, showed a path. They have shown a path to us that yes, this is possible for all of us, each one of us. Not only possible, but this has to happen. So when we leave our stubbornness of wanting contentment and joy in the material world through this or that possibility, and in all our lives we will see that in each one of our lives that there is one or two things which will be kept in front of us like a hanging carrot, and we can boggle our minds over that throughout a lifetime, but we won't get it. We won't get that satisfaction that we are craving from the material world. Either it's a relationship, workplace, money, power, fame. So there's something hanging in each one of our lives, and that will not be granted. And there is a reason why that won't be granted. Even if it is granted at times, we see that it's not that our wishes have not never been fulfilled. They have been fulfilled, but there is no end to desires. And this entanglement, or this stubbornness that we have in the material world, that something or the other keeps troubling our mind, and we try to connect our thoughts, and hence we are not many a times able to turn within. So when we suffer enough, and when we decide that no, I now understand that I'm not going to get those resolutions that I seek in the outer world, let me turn within. When we turn within, there are layers and layers of realizations possible for us, like gradations of heights of consciousness possible. And in that, we have to rise. Once we can leave our lollipops and all the teddy bears that we keep on holding to, once we are ready to renounce them, that no, I know that they can't give me anything that I truly want. So then we can turn within and have these realizations, which is first, as Mother says, the psychic realization, finding in the depths of our being this knowing, this consciousness which knows, and being guided by that psychic consciousness, the divine, immanent divine within each one of us. Then there is a cosmic realization and a spiritual realization. So there is no dearth of the degrees of realizations. One can go on and on and on, but we have to start. We can't forever live in this egoistic state of very limited mind, whatever it takes in through the senses, that's what it is trying to interpret. And that interpretation is also so little that we can't really figure out what's happening. So if we remain there in that consciousness, we will forever be confused. And even if a few glimpses come here and there, again a next confusion comes in life. Why this, why that, why that had to happen, why this had to happen with me. But when we get in touch with our psychic consciousness, that things are revealed. Then with further realization, we realized, oh, now we see the true purpose of these things happening, and they're not happening by chance. So as Ashwapati grows in his realization in the last few lines, the mind is now completely empty, thought free. In the light flooding thought's blank vacancy, interpreting this universe by soul signs. Now the soul consciousness is giving him the intuitive knowing. The knowing is not coming from thought as it comes for most of us. That by connecting dots with the analytical mind, we try to make sense of things. That's not how he's making sense of things. He's making sense of things through a larger and deeper knowing, which is coming through the soul consciousness, which is also, I think it was shared in the earlier lines, it's like a cosmic realization also. He read from within the text of the without. Now, the inner is giving the hints on the outer understandings. It's not that through the outer I am trying to understand the world. The inner knowing is shedding light on the outer. The riddle grew plain and lost its catch obscure. So now the riddle of the world, which we were last reflecting upon in the last session, it became very clear and obvious in front of him. It was no more a riddle, and the catch was revealed. So every riddle has a catch, which we have to get hold of if we want to understand. So he got hold of the catch because it was the knowing from within which was being revealed to him. And then we take up the new lines today. So what is the effect of these realizations? What is he going to do next? Yes. So anyone who feels ready to go, please.
Yeah, Monica, I'll read.
Yes.
A larger lustre lit the mighty page, a purpose mingled with the whims of time, a meaning met the stumbling pace of chance, and fate revealed a chain of seeing will. A conscious wideness filled the old dumb space.
Yeah. Thank you. So now a larger luster is like a shine, a glow, as we all know, lit the mighty page, this page of life, the riddle of life, or this page where everything is happening, the happenings. A larger luster lit the mighty page. So now a light dawned, because of which he was able to make sense of all these things happenings. Most of the times the things that happen in our life, we are not able to make sense of it. Why is this happening? Oh, this appears like a chance. But mother says that it appears like a chance only to the limited mind, because the limited mind has, it's like, imagine that there is a very big dark room, and you have just a little window to that little dark room, and there is a very little thin light that we have in order to see the dark room. So we won't be able to make sense of what's happening in the dark room because we can't see. So in this case, it's like the dark room was lit by a sun. Now you see, okay, where is everything placed, and why did that thing fall, which I was able to see through the little window. Now we can make sense of it. So just like that, the whole page was lit with this illumination that he received from the soul consciousness. Now, a larger luster lit the mighty page, the page of life on which the stories are written, for example. A purpose mingled with the whims of time. And now he was able to see that each happening is happening for a purpose. A purpose mingled with the whims of time. So things that appear like whims and fancies of happenings, just like that it happens. Many a times we have things happening in our life. We have no idea how come it happened. I was conscious, but we don't know what all we are unconscious of. So things happen. We have no clue how they happen, and yet even if they happen, they have a purpose behind them. So they are not just whims and fancies of Prakriti or nature. There is a conscious intelligence operating behind that dumb great mother, as we read in the earlier lines. So a purpose mingled with the whims of time. Now this one can also take this example that mother shares that whenever accidents happen, they happen for a reason. Mother shares. She says that most of the accidents happen, they happen to make us conscious of something. So, for example, imagine that I'm working in the kitchen and I'm lost in my thoughts, and suddenly, like whatever I'm holding, it falls down. So, immediately I can come back to my body, bring mind back to the body, and almost say thank you to the universe, realizing that yes, oh my God, the mind was not home in the body. I was just lost in the thoughts. So it came as a signal to make me conscious of where am I lost. So just one example. Many a times, many of us are very prone to accidents just because we are so lost in our thoughts, and we don't realize where we are stepping, where we are, if there is a car coming from front, we are on our phones busy and there is a car passing, so we don't realize, we are not conscious of these things happening. So there is a purpose behind even the so-called whims of time. A meaning met the stumbling pace of chance. Now, chance appears, as we were talking, like like it should not have happened. Many a times it's a good chance. So you say, yeah, good that it happened. But many a times we say, by chance, something happened and we didn't feel very glad about it. But even there is a meaning hidden. Nothing is by chance. How beautiful is that? And it appears like chance only because of the spirit of adventure. Because if things are all planned out and we have the plan in front of us, then there is, it's the life becomes boring. So to have that delight and chance stumblings, like we stumble upon somebody and she becomes our friend forever, for example. So it's for that joy and delight of finding each other and making this adventure in life that chance movements are there. So to a logical mind, limited mind, it appears as a chance movement. But for a cosmic realized mind, for a mind which knows better, it knows that there is nothing by chance. These are all intelligently created events. Its chance is also part of the process. So a meaning was there now. He could see the meaning in the stumbling pace of chance, and fate revealed a chain of seeing will. So usually whenever we talk about fate, we think that it's like fixed. And mother shares that so long as we remain in ignorance and operate from ignorant mind, then whatever we do, we are then as if like we are stuck in that determinism. Like if I eat oily food, and if I'm not uh, in tune with my divine consciousness, as a part of determinism of nature, oily food will bring me ill health very soon, sooner or later. Addictions of all kind, they will bring me ill health. So it's like a determinism of one kind. So as long as I live in ignorance, there is fate working. But he could see now that fate is not all there is something more greater than fate. And mother also shares that grace, the divine grace, can overrule fate. So when in ignorance, we need these mechanisms of determinism so as we become conscious. So for example, if I'm eating oily food and doing maybe too much of it, so then it's good that I am made conscious by a disease or something, that please, take care of your health. So it's like a determinism of that sorts that is placed, and that's again according to the divine will. But once we overcome our ignorant mind and run mostly in intuitive mind and illumined mind, then there is no reason for fate to operate. So for example, one example is that somebody came to Nisargadatta Maharaj and he said that, see, eat this weed. He gave marijuana, some cannabis, some drug, and he said that when you eat this, you see these visions and that visions and something like that. Nisargadatta Maharaj, he took this whole bunch of weed and he ate it up, and nothing happened to him. So beyond the determinism of fate. But the state of consciousness is different. So we can't do it or expect it in our state of consciousness where we live in the ego state. Then we can't overrule fate. But with divine grace and with complete abandonment on the divine grace, then things can happen where it doesn't even make sense, and yet it can happen. We are not bound to fate then. We are not bound to these iron laws of determinism of this sort and that sort. And fate is also a instrument of the divine will. It has a purpose. So long as ignorance is there, these determinisms have a purpose. A conscious wideness filled the old dumb space. So this dumb space, the whole of existence, imagine, this space extending to I don't know where, we don't see any end of that space, vast, infinite. And it appears like is it a dumb space in which just randomly some big bang happened and planets movements were created and life came? Is it like a dumb space? Because it appears that who is the caretaker of all that? But to him, it did not appear like a dumb space. Now he saw a conscious wideness. He was able to see as if a conscious being is harboring this space that appeared so far dumb, as if abandoned and lost. A conscious wideness filled the old dumb space. Yeah, so as if, imagine that the whole space is just like one humongous divine being in whom all these events are happening. Endless divine being, cosmic being. So he was able to see that intelligence and consciousness in operation, that it's not abandoned, dumb, and mechanical. There is an intelligence which is present in each and every particle, each and every nook and corner, not even in darkness and dust and dirt and drain and mud and filth. Everywhere it is like full of this cosmic consciousness. That is what he was able to see. And I missed the last line. I think this can also be taken along with the few lines. In the void, he saw throned the Omniscience Supreme. Now, in this vast, dumb void, in the first book, Canto 1, there also it was like as if it's just a mechanical void and mechanical movements of planets are happening. But now, with this illumined mind, with this light that he was given in this dark room, he was able to see that it was full of omniscience, all knowing, a consciousness which is pervading the infinity, it's pervading all the space, each particle. Now imagine, this implication of this: each cell of our being is being pervaded by this cosmic consciousness. Each cell, each particle, no matter whether it appears dumb or whether it appears dark at this moment, it is pervaded by this conscious being. That is what we have to awaken when Mother talks about, say, physical transformation. Each thought, each feeling has to be awakened with this divine illumination, because it is present, but so far it is unconscious. We have to make it conscious. That's the task that has been given to us. But if we remain in our stubbornness, that no, 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 I want to stick to my old self, I don't want to give up my stubbornness of this or that sort, then we will delay the process. So if we know it now that, okay, this is the task given to us, then we have to invoke this divinity and illumination in each part of our being, individually and also collectively. Individually invoking each, turning each thought to the divine, turning each feeling to the divine. Each cell of the body must belong to the divine. Now, it must know that it is divine and it is immortal. That is the realization, the physical change that has to happen. Knowing that the omniscient presence is anyway pervading everything. So all that has to be done is to invoke, like we do in our temples. We invoke. In India, this is the beauty, that there is a stone that is kept in front of us. What are we doing? We are invoking the divine presence from within. So there is a faith that yes, it is there. Let me wake it up. So that waking up has to happen in our instrument, the instrument that has been given to us, the mental instrument, vital instrument, physical, psychic instrument, that has to wake up. So that invocation in our temple, that is the body, including thought, feeling, sense perception, that invocation, the chant, has to now become our life, because this life has to become life divine. That's its destiny. So this is the revelation that was given to Ashwapati, that he was able to see with a different vision. The inner vision opened him up to a different kind of seeing. So anything here, anyone? Okay, so anyone who wants to read next?
I'll go ahead.
Yeah, please.
Monica, hi.
Yes.
So, a will, a hope immense now seized his heart, and to discern the superhuman's form, he raised his eyes to unseen spiritual heights, aspiring to bring down a greater world.
Yeah, thank you. So now looking at this vast vision that was given to him, he sees that, oh, I want this for my home, Earth. So much of beauty is there and we are unaware. Like Jetsunma Tenzing Palmo, she shares that, when we realize, when the so-called enlightened being, they realize what's the true thing happening, it's like compassion. Their heart is full of compassion, that look at this innumerable beings here. They are all Buddhas and they don't even know. What's the fun of being a king when we live like a beggar? So compassion arises. This is the divine suffering. That compassion arises looking at the condition of human existence, while what we can claim for ourselves is divinity. But we are not ready again and again to leave our trifles and trinkets and lollipops and candies that we are in love with. So compassion arises in the heart of the divine beings or enlightened beings when they see the possibilities for us human beings, that oh my god, what is possible, and see where this guy is sitting. He's sitting like a beggar, but on a treasure which he is not making the effort to dig out. So then it gives rise to compassion. So this revelation, the seeing that he had, it gave him a will, like, and will with a capital W, so divine will. A will, a hope immense now seized his heart. Now he said, wow, this beauty I have to bring down to this earth. This is what Sri Aurobindo mother did, and still the work is in process. They brought this supramental consciousness on earth. Mother says that now it is established on earth. So the work is even easier for those of us who want to walk the path. A will, a hope immense now seized his heart. And why a will with a capital W? Also, I feel that because when we work for a greater cause, for selfless reasons, that there is nothing private I want from this work, then our will is connected with the divine will. So long as I remain in my sphere, my story, my needs, my children, this is what I want, my life is not good, then our will remains the will with small w. It's the will that is, again, that also has its own importance in evolution, but then we are not able to connect with the divine will. So if we truly want to connect with the divine will, we will have to, in one way or the other, offer our presence and life to higher work. Only then we become free of our egoistic state and work for something selflessly, as mother says, self-abnegation, totally forgetting about what I want, what is my unfulfilled wish, this is not happening, that person is not happy with me, completely abandoning that because there is no end to it. Now we realize that there is no end to it. And parallelly, we all have so much of talent, abilities, and skills which we can offer in whatever little sphere of life. We can offer that as an offering to the divine. Then our will becomes connected to the divine will. Just a second. Yeah, sorry. So a will, a hope immense now seized his heart, and to discern the superhuman's form, he raised his eyes to unseen spiritual heights, aspiring to bring down a greater world. So this is the work which Mother Sri Aurobindo have done for us. The new race, the supramental race, they have shown us this beautiful vision that this has to happen. Mother has even talked about the new form, where he talks in the second line, and to discern the superhuman's form. So even the body has to change. The body has to be in reflection more and more with the divine presence within. And mother has shared her glimpse of this body that she saw how it would be, the superhuman body. So his consciousness elevated, and he would able to see behind the mist what is going to happen. And to discern the superhuman's form, he raised his eyes to unseen spiritual heights, the heights that have never been seen. So why? Because whenever we have talked of spirituality, it's like either abandon the world, become ascetic, or have your own inner life, and because there is no hope from the world, or be completely indulged in the matter and stay away from the spirit. But Sri Aurobindo and mother have shown us that no, we don't have to do that. The light that we see in our spirit consciousness, that has to become the link, and it has to awaken the matter. And when we say matter, include the thoughts and feelings also. not only the body consciousness, but also the mental and vital consciousness. So they could see this from a higher spiritual, unseen spiritual heights. Nobody has ever dared to even see such a vision that yes, even this body can change to complete divinity. The cells can become immortal. Only Mother and Sri Aurobindo have paved this path ahead for us, aspiring to bring down a greater world. So that's the life divine. That's what we have to do. And even now, if I stick to my teddy bears and candies and lollies, then whenever I do stick, since sticking is an old habit, then I have to just remind that what is my vision? What do I have to do? What is my purpose in life? And again, reorient ourselves back to this vision, knowing that this is a task and each one has to cooperate, each one of us. Yeah. So, anything here, anyone? Okay. So, anyone who feels ready to read. Yeah, would anyone like to read the next green lines?
The,
I'll
gl-
okay.
Yeah.
Somebody is
the
there?
glory,
Or-
Okay, so now both are muted.
Okay,
okay.
I'll try.
Okay.
All
Yeah.
right.
So, yeah, anyone who is feeling ready,
Yeah.
please go ahead. You choose, both
The
of you.
glory he had glimpsed must be his home. A brighter, heavenlier sun must soon illume this dusk room with its dark internal stair, the infant's soul in its small nursery school. Mid objects meant for a lesson hardly learned, outgrow its early grammar of intellect and its imitation of earth nature's art. Its earthly dialect to God language change, in living symbols study reality, and learn the logic of the infinite.
Thank you. So, this glory that he had glimpsed, Ashwapati, he says that this has to be my home. This I have to live in this glory even on earth, terrestrial existence. It's not that that glory is only in the heavens and I only have glimpses of it. He says that no, this has to be my home because I feel home here. And we all know that whenever we have these very intimate connections with our deeper selves, we feel home there. We feel that, and then if we begin to miss those intimate movements within us, then we say that, as if we are missing on something. So he felt that no, this is my home, this glory is my home. And since we have this terrestrial existence, I want this glory for this terrestrial home. It's not that it's only in the heavens that I have connection with this and here it is hell on earth. That's not what I want. So the glory he had glimpsed must be his home. A brighter, heavenlier sun must soon illume. So right now, what is the sun we have? The mind. As Mother and Sri Aurobindo said, it's half lit. Mind is half lit ignorance. Nothing more than that. So whenever we remain in the thought domain, we are as good as blind because we don't see the larger picture. And we are so hopeful with the mind that we don't give up. Time and again, we find ourselves in the mind and the thoughts, and we try to resolve and connect dots there. Time and again. So we are so hopeful that one day I will find a resolution in the thought domain. Ask anyone if anyone has ever found. And even if we have found on the way, How temporary are those satisfactions? That also we know. Something other comes up which is now we trying to resolve, and it doesn't get resolved. No matter how much we remain in the thought domain. So this has to change. This has to change. Now we have to make our mind absolutely still, as Sri Aurobindo says. This is a passing, we have to go through this phase. Thought has its place, but where we use thought, it's like usually unnecessary. So we have to stop using thought where its proper place is not there. And we have to enter the stillness and thought-free stillness in the mind. We have to make mind a receptacle for the divine light to dawn into it. So that is the solidity which we have to cultivate. It has to be cultivated because by default, it's not like that. We crave for peace, but the mind is so addicted to its old patterns that it enters the thought domain again and again. Although it craves, it says that I want peace, but how it wants peace is it says that I want to connect the dots in my head, and when I will get satisfied, then I will find peace. Now we are saying that okay, forget about the thought space. I'm convinced that I'm not going to find my resolutions there. Okay, let me still the mind now. Bringing the mind with either a divine name, with mother's name, or with the breath, keeping it in the body in its home, centering it again and again, so that it remains mostly still, quiet. And even if thought stream is there, since it is an old habit, the thought stream will remain. I don't at least believe in those thoughts. I keep on ignoring them. They come and I keep on ignoring. I let go. I don't stick to these vicious loops of thoughts. And when the mind remains still for a number of time, then we have intuitive insights. Then realizations dawn, understandings happen, which are not coming from the thought domain. Intuitive realizations. Now I know, something like that. But it has not come from thought. It has come because you made your mind so quiet and still, and you just know. You prepared the ground. So this preparation of the ground has to happen. It's our effort and aspiration that has to take us there. Because so long as I'm satisfied with the thought domain, okay, then the divine says remain satisfied. You don't need me at this moment. But when we see that, okay, now enough of the thought churning and rumination, and it makes me more restless and disturbed, now I want to prepare the ground in me. Then we still ourselves, quieten ourselves. So the physical also quieten down, the feelings quieten down, they turn to the mother or the divine, become still in the present moment, and the mind also comes back home in the body with the breath or with the divine name. So there's nothing more that one needs. So this mind, which is half-lit sun, this has to be now transcended. Only then a greater sun, brighter sun will illumine. So a brighter, heavenlier sun must soon illume, he says. Ashwapati is kind of seeing this vision. This dusk room with its dark internal stair. So our layers and gradations of consciousness within, which we have no idea of. It's all dark in there. Conscious, subconscious, what are the degrees in between? What are the patterns that are ruling me? We have no idea. It's all in dark. So this dusk room with its dark internal stair, the infant soul in its small nursery school. And how is the soul usually progressing? And in the earlier stanzas, we have seen that it's like the Purusha is evolving through Prakriti. So the soul consciousness is evolving through Prakriti, and although it is all knowing, yet it grows in degrees and grades. For example, first exploring the physical world, then as a child explore the physical world first of senses, He touches this and that, he then puts fingers in the mouth, he's exploring. So through exploration of physical sense objects, he's growing. Then the world of feelings, and then the world of intellect and the mind and the reason. So this infant soul, which has by itself taken this infant position, the Purusha has himself made that decision. The infant soul in its small nursery school, how is it growing and evolving? Mid objects meant for a lesson hardly learned. It's like the Purusha has to grow forward through all these objects that are there in front of him, outgrow its early grammar of intellect. And then the most obvious thing that we rely on is our reason, that okay, this is making sense, this is not making sense, and that is how we understand the world. Now he is saying that we have to now, the soul consciousness now has to outgrow its early grammar of intellect. Now I have to go beyond the world of sense perceptions and making my consciousness grow just through the physical senses, or through reasoning, or through imitation of earth nature's art. Now this is also referring to, for example, artists. Nature is a beautiful inspiration for artists. So if we look at a tree, we want to copy it down on our paper, we want to sketch it down or paint it. So he's saying that earlier we learned through imitation of the nature's beauty. But as we have done that enough, the soul is progressing forward. Now it has to grow in its divinity, the direct knowing. So first is the knowing by senses, knowing by thought, knowing by feelings. And now when I have been in this nursery school for a long time, which all of us do, it's like a gradation happening. Now I have to change my grammar. I have to outgrow this grammar. So we have to leave those lollies and candies and teddy bears that still keep on attracting us. It's earthly dialect to God language change. So now this knowing with which we understand this universe, this has to transcend the earlier knowing that came through thought, feeling, and senses. We have to transcend the sense mind. There has to be a greater knowing that has to come. In living symbols, study reality and learn the logic of the infinite. So far, I know the logic of the finite. 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. But the divine doesn't operate like that. 2 plus 2 many a times can be 0. Many a times 2 plus 2 can be greater than infinity. So the divine's logic of infinite, his logic, that is what we have to learn, so that we transcend our limitations of the egoistic separate self, because this is our birthright. A life divine is our birthright. It's not that it's only for a few individuals. We have to grow in our stature, slowly leaving all the things behind which are past and not fruitful anymore, which are not benefiting me anymore. The past ways of thinking, past ways of feeling, again and again reacting, getting insulted, reacting to people around, taking it to our hearts. These are all old patterns that we have been into, but they have done their job. Now I have to outgrow and learn the logic of the infinite. And instead of my learning through my teddy bears and little toys and plastic toys at home, now I have to study living symbols and study reality. I have to grow in my intimacy with my inner being, inner self, grow in intimacy with that knowing and consciousness within, so that there is a greater knowing that dawns in my life, which now rules even the thought, feelings, emotions, relationships, workplace. Everything has to be ruled by that logic of the infinite. That has to come. No part should remain dark. So this is his vision. And we see in writings and words of Mother Sri Aurobindo that this is what they are holding our hands and taking us forward to. that you don't have to remain miserable throughout. Walk with us, look at light, and always, as Mother says, always and always forging ahead, moving forward. No matter how many mistakes have been done, mistakes are there for a reason. Stumblings are there, as Sri Aurobindo says, through the stumblings of through our stumblings, through man's stumblings, the world is perfected. So there are stumblings for a reason. But when now we grow conscious, then let us walk consciously. Yeah. So anything here? Anyone? Yeah. So maybe we could take these last lines for today. Yeah, maybe make this big one and then we can end. Yeah, anyone who wants to. Raviji, you wanted to read last time. Would you like to go now?
Yes, yes, I'll read. I start with a conscious soul
Yeah, sorry.
live.
The,
Sorry.
yeah.
Yeah. Still
The
further.
ideal,
Still.
the ideal.
Okay. The ideal must be nature's common truth. The body illumined with the indwelling God. The heart and mind feel one with all that is. A conscious soul live in a conscious world. As through a mist, a sovereign peak is seen. The greatness of the eternal spirit appeared, exiled in a fragmented universe, amid half semblances of diviner things.
Yeah, thank you. So this ideal, this truth, the divine truth, the truth consciousness, that has to become our common truth in material existence. So right now we say, oh, I am human, I have my limitations. So that is common. We see this happening with us also, that we defend our weakness. We say that after all I am human. So what is common for us? Weakness. What is common for us? Limitation. What is common for us? Giving up. And we say that this is human. I am after all human. And this is how we defend our limitations. So he says that this doesn't have to go on like ever, forever. Now the ideal must be nature's common truth. This ideal that he has seen, that a sun can come which illumines everything, and we don't have to operate by the half-lit thought that is there, the sense mind, the interpretations of the logical analytical mind, which are always very limited. So he says this ideal has to become nature's common truth. This has to be actualized. The body illumined with the indwelling God. So, as we were talking of the physical transformation, Mother talks about, each cell of the body has to wake up to its divinity. So, when we close our eyes and we lie down at night or whenever we are resting and we look within our body, each cell has to be invoked with this presence of the Mother. We have to visualize that they are full of light, full of youth, full of Mother, one can say. That has to be invoked. The body illumined with the indwelling God. The heart and mind feel one with all that is. So, right now, how do we live? I am a separate person, and there are separate other persons out there. That one troubles me, this one is my friend, that one troubles me less, that one is my child, that one is my spouse. So, it's like this that we live. It's like separative, very separatist living that we have. I end here, you start there. That's called identification with the body. So now what has to happen? The heart and the mind has to feel one with all that is. Now, this reminds me of in Isha Upanishad, Sri Aurobindo shares about the story of Devadatta and Harishchandra. He says that imagine that Harishchandra is having all the worldly success. He is full of wealth and prosperity and everything. And I'm me, Devadatta, I have nothing. I am living in rags. And then he says that, but I can be happy for you. I can rejoice in the happiness of Harishchandra. I can rejoice instead of being jealous, because when I stay jealous, then what am I confirming? That yes, I am this little self who doesn't have anything, and you are this little other self who has the things that I may wish for. So I am full of this sense of lack. So he says that in this situation, true selflessness, he talks about altruism there. He says that when I rejoice in the happiness and success of anybody, in this case Harishchandra, I am not actually rejoicing for Harishchandra. I am actually taking stance of my divinity within, because when there is this one divine living in me and also in Harishchandra, and one divine rejoicing through the success of Harishchandra, so when I rejoice in the success of Harishchandra, I am living as my true self, that is my divine presence, which is there in Harishchandra also. So I expand myself from this limited body of Devdatta, I expand myself to Harishchandra also. So, like that, if we, in each person out there, if we feel their pain and transform it, transmute it to light, their pain is my pain. And also, if we have happiness out there in somebody, their success is my success. What am I putting front in myself? I am identifying more and more with my true self, which is the divine, which is everywhere in each individual. So heart and mind has to feel one with all that is. This is how we do it in everyday life. Whenever we see shrinking in us, somebody is appreciated, and I feel a shrinking in me. Then in the moment I feel that shrinking in me, I can actually become conscious of that shrinking, and I say, no, 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 I don't have to go there. Let me rejoice how happy that person would be. When he is appreciated, I am appreciated, because it's only one divine everywhere. And it's like that for also going through people's suffering. When anyone suffers, I suffer. Hence, I can help out and reach out in whatever little way one wants to. So, compassion, kindness, and rejoicing in others' happiness. And these also are precepts in Buddhism. We see rejoice in others' happiness. If you can't get enlightened, at least be kind to others. So, these are all leading us to this divine presence within, living more and more identified as that divine presence rather than living identified at the ego consciousness. A conscious soul live in a conscious world. So this is what he's seeing, that this is what I want for this mortal so-called terrestrial existence, that we will all become conscious of our divinity within, and we will live in a world where each and every grain is conscious of itself. So the complete removal of unconsciousness. As through a mist, a sovereign peak is seen. So now this is like, this all is always in dark for us ordinary consciousness. The more we live in ordinary consciousness, this vision is not given to us every day. So it's like a mist is there, clouds are there. We are not able to see this vision that, oh, this is my possibility. I never knew that. So as if through this capacity of greater vision, as through a mist, a sovereign peak is seen. He is able to see this peak, the height to which human being can climb. The greatness of the eternal spirit appeared in front of him. This is what is possible. Exiled in a fragmented universe. So right now the greatness of the spirit is there, but it is masked in this existence. So as if we are all Buddha, but we don't know we are Buddhas. We are all divine, we are all mothers, but we don't know we are the divine mother. We will say, no, 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 I am not the divine mother. So that's how we are. We identify more with our limitation. It's masked. The greatness of the spirit is masked. It is exiled in a fragmented universe, the universe in which there is division. This is superior, this is inferior, I am this person, that is not my family, that is my enemy, this is my friend. It's all a fragmented universe that we live in. So right now the greatness of the spirit is as if exiled. Whenever we talk about exile, we talk about that the person is not feeling home. So spirit is in unity and harmony and truth consciousness. It feels one with all. But where is it living? It's living in this fragmented universe where we don't feel home. There is disharmony in relationships. No matter how much we strive in our sense mind to make harmony, we are not able to reach that true harmony. Why? Because we have not reclaimed yet consciously that we are all spirits. That has to be reclaimed. And Mother and Sri Aurobindo have said that only with the reign of truth consciousness, supramental consciousness, only then a true harmony can come in our homes, in our workplaces, and also in our and as nations in the world, global harmony. So we all have to realize who we truly are. Right now we feel exiled. As spirits, we feel exiled in a fragmented universe amid half semblances of diviner things. So yes, things are divine. At times we may get glimpses, but it's half semblance. It's not fully divine. Only a half resemblance is there. That maybe we see some act of kindness, some act of selflessness. Then we say, oh, divine is there. But it's not in totality that we have this the reign of truth consciousness. So that has to come, and for that we have to put effort. Each one of us has to put effort. That is the vision that Mother and Sri Aurobindo gave for the whole of creation, not only for India or human beings, but the whole of existence. How this has to be reclaimed. So for that, each one of us has to invoke the divine within. We have to reclaim our throne as the spiritual consciousness so that we can transform the matter and thoughts and feelings, and that light can transform everything. Such is the power. Yeah. So anything here, anyone?
Yeah, ma'am. A conscious soul alive in a conscious world. That makes sense. But then we'll have to go back to an earlier line which you said. We have to outgrow its early grammar of intellect.
Exactly, exactly.
So this is a very, very,
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, yes. So when we outgrow the early grammar of intellect, then it's possible to have a
yeah.
conscious soul live in a conscious world. Yes, yes. Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, Monica,
Yeah.
yesterday there was a beautiful story. I think it was on this the from the Aurobindo Society. I don't know if you've read that, the Sublime Beggar.
I think I came across, but you share maybe for all of us to hear if you want to share. Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
it's a very short story. As in, I'll just read it out. So the story is based on an episode narrated by a seeker belonging to an occult spiritual tradition in the West. I was in Turkey on an official tour, and I was walking through the crowded streets of Istanbul, full of beggars. All of a sudden, a beggar appeared before me and shook his begging bowl. I was about to shrug him off when I noticed the beaming smile in his face. I felt a strange attraction and liking for him. I wanted to give him something. I searched my pockets but found that I have no money. Now the beggar again shook his begging bowl with the same captivating face. I told him with an apologetic smile, "Sorry, friend, I have nothing." But the beggar will not leave. He again shook his bowl. I told him again, "Look, friend, I would very much like to give you something. but I don't have anything. But the beggar stood there and shook his bowl again for the third time with a sublime smile. I looked at him again more closely. I felt an intense affection for him and told him again, "My dear friend, I do not have any money to give you, but I feel a deep affection for you and I give that feeling to you. It is the only thing I can give you at present." The beggar let out a hearty and ringing laugh and said, "This is what I wanted from you. I am trying to dig out that feeling of love sleeping in the depth of your heart. Now you give that feeling to all." And quickly the beggar turned and disappeared into the crowd. I stood there stunned. I was trying to recall the words uttered by the beggar when I felt a deep tumult in my heart. My heart opened like a flower. A flood of universal love flowed through my heart, embracing the whole humanity. The experience remained with me for a long time. I recognized that the beggar I met is a sublime soul, one of those great souls spoken of in the occult traditions who wander around in disguises to help seekers.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you so much.
It's so beautiful. Yeah, it just reminded me of that yesterday's. It had come in the Aurobindo Society email. And
Yeah. Anything else anyone wants to share? Okay, so in that case, thank you everyone. Thank you for listening. Thank you for reflecting together. And happy
Thank you,
practice,
Monica.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monica.
Thanks,
thank you.
everyone. Yeah.
Yeah.